Hey, I'm Lydia. I've been teaching English for over 8 years in Bogota, Colombia, but I'm originally from Brighton, a seaside town just south of London, England. I'm really passionate about languages because they help us connect and communicate with others, and I absolutely love helping my students gain confidence in communicating in English. Hey everyone! Before we start, let me give you a quick challenge. Imagine you want to disagree with your boss, and instead of saying, "I see your point, but I have to disagree," you say, "You're joking, right?" So, how do you think that would go? Or let's try a different situation. Your best friend tells you something you really don't agree with, and you say to your best friend, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm not completely convinced." Sounds a bit weird, right? Well, you've come to the right place to understand why. Wait, what? Disagreeing without drama. Welcome back to English on Air, a series by the British Council designed to help you feel more confident using English in real situations. I'm Lydia, and today we're diving into something very useful: how to express disagreement, both formally and informally, and when to use each expression depending on the situation, so you don't accidentally offend anyone. Have you ever wanted to disagree with someone but didn't want to just repeat, "I disagree, I disagree, I disagree"? Or maybe you were looking for something more natural, more polite, depending on who you were talking to. Or maybe you were chatting with a friend and thought, "Ooh, wait, did I just sound too serious?" Well, don't worry. Today we're going to look at how to disagree in English in a way that fits both formal and informal situations. I'm going to show you 10 real expressions that people use in English all the time to disagree. And here's the twist. I'm not going to tell you whether they're formal or informal. Your challenge is to watch and guess which are formal, which are informal. So let's have a look. So first one, "I'm so sorry, but I'm not completely convinced." What? No way. "I see your point, but I have to disagree." You've got to be kidding. That's not a bad idea, but... What? Come on. I totally get where you're coming from. However, you're joking, right? What about if we consider an alternative approach? And last one, absolutely not. Now, all of these expressions just mean "I disagree," but we don't use them all in the same way. It depends on who you're talking to and how formal or informal the situation is. At the British Council, we help students not only learn vocabulary, but also understand how and when to use it naturally, so you can sound confident wherever you are. There's no strict grammar rule to tell you which expressions are formal or informal, but here's a tip. Okay, so generally speaking, formal expressions are usually longer. They're definitely more polite. And they often include words such as sorry or however. Okay. Whereas informal, usually these are going to be much more direct. In an informal setting, they're usually more emotional and they're often a lot shorter. Okay, so now that you've seen them all, which ones would you use at work with colleagues, more in a formal setting? And which ones would you say to a friend in an informal situation? Let's have a look together. Okay, so let's start with, I'm so sorry, but I'm not completely convinced. What do you think? If you said formal, you are correct. Okay, what about this one? What? No way. This one, definitely with a more informal situation. Use this with a friend and with a smile. Okay, what about this one? I see your point, but I have to disagree. So this one, longer, much more polite, and we would put that one here over with the formal expressions. Okay, this one, you've got to be kidding. If you said informal, you are correct. This one is definitely more to use with your friends or with people that you know better. Again, make sure you say it with a smile. What about this one? What about if we consider an alternative approach? Okay, this one, again, definitely more formal. It's longer, it's more polite. This one, absolutely not. Okay, definitely don't use this with your boss. This is saved for the friend category. What about this one? Okay, that's not a bad idea, but... Okay, this one goes into formal, so a bit more polite. This one? What? Come on. Okay, hopefully you guessed this correctly for the informal column, the informal column here. And this one, I totally get where you're coming from. However, so we've got that key word here, so that would go in the formal column. And lastly, you're joking, right? Informal. And just make sure with the word right, you go up in your intonation. So we'll go through them in context in just a moment, but first, trivia time. Why is it important to know if these expressions in English are formal or informal, and when to use them or when not to use them? There are two correct answers. A, using informal expressions at work might upset your boss. B, people will not understand what you're saying if you use the expressions incorrectly. And C, using formal expressions with a friend could make you sound overly serious. All right, now that we've looked at the expressions, let's see if you can spot when to use them. Let's try the first one together. So, scenario 1, we've got a friend, closeness level 8 out of 10. So, very, very close. And they say to you, hey mate, did you know that the earth is flat? And you want to disagree. How would you disagree with them? Would you say, okay, that's not a bad idea, but... Or would you say something more like, what? No way. So because it's a friend, we're very close. Remember here, we're probably going to use a more informal expression so we don't sound too serious. So this would be totally appropriate for this situation. Okay, so your turn. Next one. So we've got your boss, 2 out of 10 for this one, okay? And they say to you, let's implement this business policy without informing the team, okay? So obviously you want to disagree, but what's the right way to do it? Would you say something like, you've got to be kidding? Or would you say, I totally get where you're coming from, however? What do you think? So if you chose this one, you're correct. Never use this with your boss, okay? All right, next up we have a friend, okay? So really, really close friends. You know each other really, really well. And they say something crazy to you, like chocolate ice cream is disgusting. And you're like, what? I want to disagree. How would you do it with your friend, very close friend? Would you say something like, I see your point, but I have to disagree? Or would you say something like, what? Come on. This would sound way too formal with a friend. So this one, however, would be totally appropriate with someone with a closeness level 9 out of 10 that knows you very well. Okay, next one we've got your partner. So 10 out of 10, strong relationship, and they say to you, you should stop watching movies, they're a waste of time. Again, you definitely want to disagree with this one. You love Netflix, so what would you say? Would you say something like, absolutely not? Or might you say, I'm so sorry, but I'm not completely convinced. If you said this, you are correct. This would sound way too formal, whereas this is totally fine with someone that you know really, really well. All right, senior team member. So not very close, formal situation, you don't know them very well, they don't know you very well, and they say in a meeting to you, our strategy is fine. Maybe we don't need feedback on it. And you want to disagree, right? How would you disagree? Could you say, what? No way. Or might you say, what about if we consider an alternative approach? If you said this one, then you need to revise this because you should definitely not use that in a work meeting. I would go with this one, which is much more appropriate in a formal situation with someone where you don't know them very well. Okay. All right, last one. We've got a sibling. Okay, 9 out of 10, not quite 10 out of 10, because, you know, we all fight with our siblings sometimes. And they say to you, cats are better than dogs, hands down. What would you say? All right, so we have two options. Would you say, I'm so sorry, but I'm not totally convinced? Or would you say, what? Come on. What do you think? So this one would be totally appropriate if you're a dog person, right? Maybe if you're a cat person, you're going to agree. Okay, so how did you do? If you got all of them right or just a few, the key takeaway is this. Learning when to use these expressions is just as important as learning the actual expressions themselves. And that's exactly what we focus on in our classes at the British Council. Making sure you can use English naturally, confidently, and appropriately. So, back to the trivia question. Remember, there were two correct answers. They are, A, using informal expressions at work might upset your boss, and C, using formal expressions with friends could make you sound overly serious or weird. Remember, it's all about using the right tone in the right place. Ready to keep learning? Come experience the British Council. You can even book a free trial lesson. Just message us on WhatsApp using the link in the description. Thank you